Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and we're going to talk about the absolutely fantastic, brand new Forgotten Realm, D&D Canon hardback, Forgotten Realms, Heroes of Faerun Players Expansion. Alright, so what I want to talk about is evil characters. Alright, so I love the way Dungeons & Dragons has, in the past, dealt with evil player characters, right? So Dungeons and Dragons has really frowned on this. They have never disallowed it. They've always left the door open. And I think, one of the reasons why is they know people are going to, especially younger people, they're going to, oh, would it be cool to play a villain? It's not, but you need to go through your own campaign to see that, and nobody can tell you it's going to suck, because you're like, I'll be the judge of that, right? So I get it, right? But one of the things I thought was really interesting is I've been absolutely blown away by the Forgotten Realms duo books. I've been really impressed by the player book and by the Dungeon Master book. I think this is a major innovation on how to make a setting book, right? But I'm absolutely loving it. But I love some sections even better than others, right? And so I'm really enjoying reading the faction section. But I was like, wait a second. A red wizard? And it says, here's how you play a red wizard as a player character. I'm like, wait, the red wizards that they serve Zast Tam. They're super evil, right? They really don't back away. They're like, hey, you don't have to be super evil as a red wizard, but you're not going to be good. You're not going to be the good alignment. If you're going to be a red wizard, you better pick the neutral alignment, right? And they're like, and then they present it like, okay, if you're going to be a red wizard player character, so what would a red wizard be wanting if they weren't going to be super evil? And the answer there is they would want long life, eternal life, right? So Zast Tam did that by becoming an undead, but that's a lot of drawbacks, right? Wouldn't you like to live forever and not look like a rotting ghoul, right? That's not that great of a solution, right? And so red wizard, so you could be like, well, I'm a red wizard, and I'm a red wizard because one, I want a lot of super dope magic. And they do that. They're like, hey, if you're a red wizard, there's real benefit. You're like, well, why not just play a regular wizard? And they're like, if you play a red wizard, you get all these benefits. And the benefits are very real, right? Like, it really does feel like there's a reason to be a red wizard rather than just a regular wizard, right? And so I thought that was extremely well done. But then also they have Zentaurums, the Zents, right? So they're like, hey, here's how you be a Zentaurum if you're a player character. But I'm like, dude, it's the same thing. You're not going to be good, right? You're going to have to be neutral aligned. And so I really was kind of shocked that Dungeons & Dragons is returning to that. They put really specifically evil aligning factions in so that you could into the player's book, right? And then they don't back away. They're like, hey, this is in the player's book. You can play a Zentaurum. You can play a red wizard. And I'm like, why are they doing this? And I got the answer, right? This split of taking a setting and saying and jamming every single thing you can into the player book, and then putting everything that's left into the Dungeon Master book, absolutely brilliant. I thought this was extremely well done, extremely smart. This is brilliant. I think this is just, and the reason why is it tells players you matter, right? Like it's not just going to be Dungeon Masters buying every single book. This is healthy for Hasbro because they're going to be able to sell these player books a lot easier than they're going to be able to sell one setting book that only Dungeon Masters would buy, right? Because there are 5 times the number of players as there are Dungeon Masters, right? So commercially, this is a brilliant idea, and from a play perspective, like every single thing, Dungeon Masters already have they function as gods, right? Like as small g, right? Like false gods, right? Like, but you control the weather, you control every single non-player character. You control the environment, you control everything, right? And we really need to start to hand as many parts of these worlds as we can to players and tell them, you don't have to ask, right? You don't have to ask for permission for anything, right? Like, this is your book, you pick what you want out of it, right? If your dungeon master says, hey, we're playing Forgotten Realms, you don't need to ask which one. You could choose any background you want. It's up to them to make that work, right? And so I love the permissioning, I love the commercial aspects of it, and I think this is why they actually put in quite a few factions that evil player characters would generally play. And I think they're saying, hey, go into the neutral zone, and then you're going to redeem these factions, right? Which is, I think, is really, really fascinating. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider like, subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.